So, it's the news we've all been waiting for, isn't it, really? Daniel Levy has announced that Tottenham Hotspur have announced that Daniel Levy is stepping down. The internet has blown up. My phone is like black ball illuminations with everyone in the WhatsApp groups all talking about it. I put a quick short out myself because I was kind of in shock, to be honest with you. Didn't know really what to say straight away. But yeah, just trying to take it all in, really, because it feels like a really big deal. It's unusual to a certain extent that a chairman of a football club is such big news. I guess something close to it was Mike Ashley at Newcastle when they got took over and he left. It was a big deal, big deal for them because he was so disliked up there. Probably more so than Daniel Levy is down here, to be honest with you. Although he's obviously not super popular. So yeah, it's a massive deal. I know, like, people are doing TV interviews and stuff like that as well, and pretty much all the channels have gone live to kind of gauge the fan reaction, I guess. I'm going on to Chris Cowling's channel this evening as I'm making this video, and we're going to talk about a few things, but I suspect this was going to now be top of the agenda to talk about. So I thought I'd just kind of put a few thoughts together as I'm sitting here, because it's just kind of coming to mind. I'm just trying to clear my head about how I feel about it. So my instant reaction is fantastic. What fantastic news that this guy who has become the bane of Tottenham fans' lives has finally relinquished that ironclad grip that he had over everything. There's lots been said about Daniel Levy, from being a control freak to a miser to being really difficult to deal with. What did I hear the other day? Something that Alex Ferguson said it was worse dealing with him than having a hip replacement or a knee replacement or something along those lines. And there has been lots and lots of issues. I mean, if you take this season, the issues with Marinakis or with Steve Parish, over the Eze deal and all the rest of it. Now, we're all surmising that that's down to Daniel Levy. It may well not be. It may be Johan Langer, or maybe the way we negotiate and so on. But obviously Daniel Levy is, key to that, because he's set the standard of how we work and all the rest of it. And he has been involved in all of these, all of the kind of negotiations and signings over the last 25 years. So it kind of makes you think, well, he's kind of held us back. Now, the reality is, if you're trying to be honest and open about it, the reality is we have signed lots of players over the last 25 years. There has been significant money paid for players and all the rest of it. But at the same time as that, it's always felt like it's not quite enough, or it's not the right player, or we haven't got the right structure or whatever. And like lots of businesses, they chop and change their priorities around all the time. I mean, I used to work for a company that started off as divisions and then went into areas, then went into regions, then went back to divisions, and then went into mini regions. There's always some sort of restructuring going on and some kind of flavour of the month way of working. And Tottenham Hotspur is no different from that. But it's always felt like it's been at the detriment of the football side. And certain promises have been made and all the rest of it. You cannot deny the improvement in terms of the football stadium is fantastic and all the rest of it. Personally, and a lot of old fans will tell you they prefer the old White Hart Lane, because of the character of it and the memories and all the rest of it. But the reality is, new fans wouldn't put up with that. They wouldn't put up with, not being able to get to a toilet and, having stuff all over the place, and all this sort of stuff, not being able to get to a bar and it's just a tiny kiosk and, all those kind of things. The society's moved on so much and people expect a certain level of service now, which undoubtedly you get at the new stadium and so on. But of course, and again, I'm not against all the stuff around concerts and NFL and rugby and all of that, if that is going to support my football team, because that's the idea behind it, right? That's what they said. It just never felt like that was really happening. Now, maybe some of that is related to just the way football's gone these days with, oil moguls and, Russian gas billionaires and American sports investors and all the rest. Maybe that's just the way it's gone, that, they can spend that money, and they do spend that money. They're a rich person's plaything and they do what they like and that. And we're kind of stuck with a situation where we're an old school owner who's not prepared to just throw his money at it for the sake of it or whatever. And so you're trying to do the right thing and be sustainable and look after the future and all those kind of, real noble kind of things. But football's just not noble. It's so cut and thrust. And, people do what they want and everything. And fans just want success on the pitch. Like, I don't care, I'll be honest, I don't care about, and this is going to be controversial, I don't care about the women's team. I don't really care about the youth teams, unless the youth teams are feeding into the first team. I get that you need somewhere to grow the players, to develop the players and the rest of it. But that's not what I support. I don't support that. I'm not interested in the infrastructure of that. I'm interested in getting the right players, the best players, and winning football matches on the pitch and bringing that success, like we had in Bilbao. There's no greater feeling than that, and the trophy coming back. And maybe it's more because we haven't had that success for so long that's made that feeling even more sweet. Really finally getting that monkey off our backs. And maybe it was worth the wait, although that season wasn't worth the wait. But you get what I mean. But I just think, like Daniel Levy said in his interview, that maybe there'll be some recognition of what he's done for the club once he's gone. And I don't think he meant now. Obviously, I don't think he meant when he's dead. I think he now means like now he's stepping away. Maybe there'll be a time for reflection about what he had achieved for the football club in terms of, the state-of-the-art facilities, the sustainability, the stadium, the infrastructure, all that kind of stuff. But of course, most fans are just going to remember how many managers he's sacked. They're going to remember all the poor investment that was there. They're going to remember, not buying a player for, 3 windows and being so close so many times and just never really getting over the line. And someone has to be blamed. And that's always going to fall on the man at the top who it feels like has held us back. So yeah, it's a real strange one. I think in probably a few years' time, he probably will get some recognition. He probably will get some recognition, depending on where we go from here. Because why is he stepping down now? What's changed? What milestone has been reached? Is it just because we've got a trophy? Is that now the time? It doesn't feel like it. It feels like there's something else going on. And of course, there's been talk of, foreign investment taking over and that kind of stuff. Sponsorship deal for the stadium naming rights, for instance, and stuff like that. So I think there is more to come from that perspective. Whether it's a full takeover, whether it's just an investment, whether it's just someone putting their name on the stadium, and you've got to remember, like, the name Tottenham Hotspur Stadium has been used on tickets for concerts and all this different stuff, the different diverse people that have been to that stadium or are aware of that stadium and that football club, is purely based on the fact that we haven't had naming rights. And that's kind of put it out there. So that's kind of free publicity. So people say, all publicity is good publicity. So maybe that's been part of it. But it just feels like this is a turning point. Something else is going to happen. You don't just step down a bloke who's been at the helm for 25 years without something else coming along. So Peter Charrington is taking over as the non-executive chairman, and Vinay Venkatesham is there as the CEO. So between them, presumably, they're going to start taking on board the work that Levy's been doing. But is Levy still going to be around in terms of all the other stuff that's going on? When you consider, the hotel, the apartment blocks, the regeneration of the area, is Daniel Levy just going to take on a role doing stuff like that? Is he going to be involved somewhere along the line? I don't think he will disappear from the football club. I think he will be around doing something, because people like that, when they've got that much money, the only thing left really is keeping busy and doing stuff that's kind of like a legacy and future proofing and stuff like that. Because once you've got, it's like I don't know, it's like a singer, isn't it? If you look at Paul McCartney, for instance, the man's got more money than he's ever going to spend, right? His family are set up for life. His family are rich as anything and all the rest of it. So why does he keep making music? Why does he keep doing stuff? Because he enjoys it, because he likes it, and he can. And I think that's the same for a lot of these, really, really super rich people. They do it for the buzz of what they're doing, and the enjoyment of it, and so on. I'm sure having people threatening to shoot, joking about shooting you, or, singing songs about how much they hate you and booing you is probably not a great feeling. But it just feels like there's got to be something else going on. This can't just be the right time. And he hasn't said, I'm stepping down because it's the right time, or I've had enough, or anything like that. He's just, said, he's thankful for all the good people he's worked with, from Lily Whitehouse and and he's stepping down. So it feels like there's another announcement to come. So it'll be interesting to see how soon that announcement does come, what it entails, investment or sponsorship or something, maybe. That's the theory, and that's what people kind of all hanging on to now. So we're all waiting for the next big thing. It's interesting, isn't it? I didn't think we'd have anything to talk about over the international break, because it's international break. Tottenham, what can Tottenham talk about? Window's closed now, so we've got no transfer stuff to talk about. We've got no football to talk about, and then all of a sudden Daniel Levy pulls this rabbit out of the hat. Interesting times. But listen, I had to get it off my chest. I had to kind of just ramble on to gather my thoughts about how I feel about it. And my view is I'm happy, obviously happy, that Daniel Levy is stepping down from that role and giving someone else a chance to take us forward, to see whether they can take us in a different direction. I just hope the direction that we're taken is a better direction than where we've been, in terms of how that helps us manoeuvre along with all the other clubs in the world, and how we can do business, and can we build better relationships and get players that we want when we want, and so on, rather than having these big busts up like the Morgan Gibbs White thing or the Eze thing and all the rest of it. Hopefully that's where it takes us, and we'll see. But it's certainly going to be an interesting ride, that's for sure. So Wolves at home will be an interesting one for sure. I wonder what as well this means for change for Tottenham in terms of their protests and stuff. They wanted real change. When he got it now, maybe that played a part. Who knows? I'm sure the guys will try to take some sort of credit for it. I think I would. I think I'd probably go, yeah, see, this is what we did, and that's why it's gone like that. So fair play to them. Anyway, listen, I've rambled on just getting my thoughts out. Let me know, what do you think about this? I'm sure you're all very, very pleased, but, you know, is there anything good? You know, are you prepared to say, well, you know, I think he did well at this, or he achieved that, or whatever, or I'll be glad about that he did this, or, you know, maybe you've got some stuff that you can kind of say, well, you know, he wasn't all bad. Dare I even say that? Anyway, thanks for watching. Please do give it a thumbs up if you like the video, and please do consider subscribing if you don't already, because that does help my algorithm. I'm still in the low numbers of subscribers. I think it's 60 odd percent, nearly 70% don't subscribe to the channel. So what are you waiting for? Just hit the button. Don't cost you nothing. Come on, help a man out. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Up the Spurs.